Antarctica, it's pretty much just ice, penguins, and scientists, right? Or is it?
I see where you're going with this.
What if I told you there's a whole other side to this continent? One with whispers of ancient civilizations, hidden structures, maybe even UFOs?
Sounds promising. I'm intrigued.
That's what we're diving into today, the mysteries of Antarctica. And we've got a ton of interesting stuff to unpack, from YouTube videos and study guides to some pretty wild FAQs.
Let's separate those facts from the speculation then.
Exactly. And a good place to start is with these ancient maps, like the Piri Reis map, the one from the 1500s.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
These maps, they show Antarctica, but get this, ice-free. Coastlines, rivers, mountain ranges, all mapped out way before anyone supposedly even discovered the place.
Yeah, it's definitely curious how these maps seem to predate our modern understanding of the continent. While their accuracy is debated, they fueled so many theories.
That's wild.
I mean, the conventional thinking is that Antarctica has been covered in ice for millions of years, so these maps, they're quite the anomaly.
You got that right. So, how do we explain these maps? With what we know about like geology and stuff, it's like finding a blueprint of your house before it was even built.
Right. Well, there's this theory called crustal displacement, which was proposed by a guy named Charles Hapgood back in the 20th century. Imagine this. The Earth's crust, those land masses, we see shifting dramatically and super fast.
Well, hold on. So like the continent's moving?
Exactly. Hapgood thought maybe this could explain how Antarctica went from, say, a temperate region to where it is now, in the polar zone. He thought this happened around 12,000 years ago.
Okay, that's fascinating. But here's what really gets me. That period, 12,000 years ago, that lines up with the Younger Dryas impact event. That crazy time when scientists think a giant asteroid hit Earth and caused all sorts of environmental chaos.
It's an interesting connection for sure.
So could that impact be what caused the crustal displacement that Hapgood was talking about, and maybe that plunged Antarctica into a sudden freeze, like locking away whatever was there?
It's a compelling thought. But gotta mention, Hapgood's theory, it's considered fringe science.
Right, right.
Mainstream geology, it doesn't really support the idea of such rapid and massive shifts in the Earth's crust. However, the Younger Dryas impact, now that's widely accepted, and its effects were undoubtedly huge.
Yeah, no doubt.
Whether it could have triggered the kind of events Hapgood described, well, that's a whole other discussion.
Okay, so we've got ancient maps hinting at a different Antarctica, this massive impact event, and a theory that challenges everything we thought we knew about geology. This is already more than I expected.
We're just scratching the surface.
I'm ready for more. What else could be hidden under all that ice?
Let's find out.
Okay, get ready for this one because we're about to explore those pyramids in Antarctica.
Here we go.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Those satellite pictures, they seem to show these pyramid shapes just poking out of the ice.
Yeah, I've seen them. Definitely sparks some debate, that's for sure.
Some folks say it's just natural rock formations, but others, they're convinced those shapes are way too perfect, too precise to be natural. Like maybe they were built by some ancient civilization that's now buried under all that ice.
It's a fascinating idea, no doubt about that. Geologically speaking, Antarctica does have the right conditions to create pyramid-like formations, over time. Think about how ice moves and carves up the land over thousands, even millions of years, or how erosion can wear down rock into these unexpected shapes.
Okay, so it could be natural, but...
It could, but then there's also the human element to consider. We're hardwired to see patterns, even where they don't exist.
Oh, like seeing shapes in the clouds?
Exactly. Pareidolia, it's called. That feeling of seeing a face in the clouds or a figure in the shadows.
Right, right. So it's like we're battling our own brains, trying to figure out if what we're seeing is real or just our imagination running wild.
It's a tough one to unravel, for sure.
It really is. But hey, speaking of things that might be hidden in Antarctica, have you heard about SpartanOne?
SpartanOne. Yeah, that rings a bell. It's a pretty wild story.
Wild doesn't even cover it. So SpartanOne claimed to be a Navy SEAL, and back in 2003, he said he was part of this top secret mission to Antarctica. They stumbled on this huge, massive octagonal structure, like a platform just sticking out of the ice.
Okay, that's going to be huge to stick out of the ice in Antarctica.
Right. He said there was this massive door, like something out of Indiana Jones, leading down into this complex under the ice. SpartanOne, he described carvings, corridors, chambers, like a whole hidden world down there. It's an incredible story.
It definitely captures the imagination, but we got to approach it with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Oh, absolutely. I get it.
As it stands, SpartanOne's story, it's a single source,
Yeah.
No other evidence, no official records, no other witnesses to back up his claims.
Yeah, that's true. It's just these stories about Antarctica, they're so intriguing. What do we do with them? Just dismiss them all as fiction? Or could there be something more to these hidden structures and all the weird activity people report down there?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's tempting to get carried away with the exciting possibilities, but we got to stay grounded in evidence. But even so, there's no denying Antarctica has a way of pulling us in, making us wonder what secrets it might be hiding. It's the allure of the unknown, I guess.
You got that right. Okay, well, let's shift gears a bit. From under the ice to up in the air, because the next stop on our Antarctic adventure is UFO sightings.
UFOs over Antarctica. All right, I'm in. Let's hear it.
We've got all these reports. Pilots, military personnel, even scientists, they all claim to have seen some seriously strange stuff in the skies above Antarctica.
Like what?
We're not just talking quick glances either. These are detailed reports of weird objects flying around at speeds that would make your head spin.
Sounds like we're venturing even further into the realm of speculation.
Oh, we are. But there's this one account from a Navy pilot, we'll call him Brian. He says he had multiple encounters with what he called silver disc-shaped objects. They were zipping around with this insane speed and maneuverability, nothing like any aircraft he'd ever seen.
Silver discs, huh? It's interesting how that description pops up time and time again in UFO reports from all over the world.
I know, right? It makes you wonder. Anyway, Brian's story, it takes this whole other crazy turn.
No.
So he was on a mission, and they were told to stay clear of this one specific area, a no-fly zone. They called it an air sampling station. But then they had to make an emergency detour, a medical evacuation or something.
Okay, so they flew over the restricted zone.
Yeah, and that's when they saw it.
Saw what?
This giant hole in the ice, hundreds of feet across. Brian said there were these tracks leading to and from it like something had been coming and going. They got back to base and boom, total silence. Nobody would tell them anything, just ordered them to never, ever speak about what they saw.
Talk about a cover-up. And this air sampling station that they weren't supposed to see, that's pretty strange.
It is, right. And it ties into this recurring theme we keep seeing in these Antarctic mysteries. This idea of visitors, something not from around here, doing their thing on this remote, mysterious continent.
It's definitely food for thought, if you're into that kind of thing, of course.
Oh, I'm into it. And speaking of things that make you go, I think it's about time we talked about those Antarctic cover-ups and conspiracy theories.
Yeah, those are hard to ignore when you go down the Antarctica rabbit hole. Where do you want to start?
Man, where do we even begin to unpack all of that? Ancient maps, pyramids, secret bases, UFOs. It's almost too much.
It's a lot to process, for sure. And it's easy to get swept up in the excitement. But gotta say, a healthy dose of skepticism is always a good thing.
You're right, you're right. I mean, a good story doesn't automatically equal truth. So, what are some things to keep in mind as we try to make sense of these Antarctic mysteries?
Well, for me, it always comes back to finding that sweet spot between curiosity and critical thinking.
Yeah, I like that.
It's awesome to be amazed by the unexplained, but we got to remember that extraordinary claims, they usually need extraordinary evidence to back them up.
Makes sense. It's like trust but verify, right?
Exactly.
We've heard some pretty wild stuff today, but a lot of it, it's based on just one person's word, or it lacks, solid proof.
That's something to be mindful of, definitely.
Yeah. So, with that hidden civilization idea, it sounds really cool, but building a whole civilization down there in Antarctica, that's got to be insanely hard, even with super advanced technology.
Right. And why there? What's the appeal?
Yeah, good point. I mean, it's like you said, got to look at all sides of it, not just the most exciting parts.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't mean we just write off the whole thing.
Not at all. There's still so much we don't know about Antarctica.
True. Yeah.
And the potential for discoveries, it's huge.
It's like we're looking at a map, but huge chunks of it are just blank.
And those blank spots,
yeah,
that's where the excitement lies. And who knows, maybe with all the tech we have these days, all the research going on, we're getting closer to filling in those blanks.
And who knows what we'll find when we do.
Right. Like with climate change and the ice melting, it seems pretty likely that we're going to see some things we've never seen before.
Like what? Spill the beans?
It could be anything, really. Remains of ancient civilizations, weird geological formations, maybe even new life forms. The possibilities are kind of endless.
Antarctica, man, what a place! All right, folks, well, that's our deep dive into the mysteries of Antarctica, from ancient maps and potential pyramids to secret bases and those UFO sightings. We've covered a lot of ground today. or I guess a lot of ice.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
That's the thing about Antarctica. It's this place that just keeps us guessing. It challenges everything we think we know about the world. And even without all the answers, one thing's for sure, Antarctica's got this hold on our imaginations, and it doesn't seem to be letting go anytime soon.
I don't think it ever will.
So until next time, keep those thinking caps on, keep asking questions, and hey, maybe you'll be the one to uncover the next big Antarctic mystery.